For Monday, August 3rd, 2020. This is the Pro and Con Show, and I am your host. Just as it says on the tablet there, Michael James Ott. Welcome to the show. All right, so again, just a couple seconds here at the beginning. We got to be better citizens. We've got to be more active than proactive. If we want this government to really function for us, we've got to participate in it. And I know there's a lot of frustration and a lot of apathy out there because you and I, have let these two parties kind of run us, okay? And so they've turned it into the Hatfields and the McCoys, us versus them. And the reality is we should be getting rid of these political parties. We have the wherewithal. You and I have the wherewithal with modern technology to communicate with each other, to have information that we can look at and we can decide, really discern. Just like when you wade into after the fact with a fight amongst a bunch of kids, you can wade in there and you're never going to know the absolute perfect truth, but you can know most of it, or you can infer, the general truth, pro and con, good and bad, for and against, with these kids and they're fighting. And in some cases, you can know the absolute truth because we have so many smartphones around anymore that, the videos can be captured, and it's now we really know we can actually watch and see what happened. Okay, so the truth is much more available, but if you don't bother to watch the video, and you allow someone else to describe what happened in the video, then their version of the truth is what you're going to hear and see and I guess accept. So again, we have to participate more, okay? And I'm guilty as charged. In the past, had serious apathy about all this, but it's very clear these days that we can and must and should do better. And again, we have the tools. Anyway, today's show is called Pigs. And it's not about police. It's not the detrimental name, slang for police officers. I want to talk about environment and environmental protection. And the reason why I call this show Pigs is because recently I was at one of the local places here in Hudson, and a woman came up to me and she's like, we have to protect the environment because our local ordinances basically don't even address the potential that these pig farmers, and what this is these relatively large corporate entities that they put their facilities in, and these facilities, especially in areas where there isn't any regulation, and that's unfortunately capitalism being what it is, very often, industries will try to find locations where they can make whatever, do whatever, and because there isn't a lot of regulation, it means that they can save money and they can be environmentally unfriendly. And in the case of these industrialized pig farms, these things, they end up setting up these pigs, and the pigs, don't have a very good life. They're penned in, and basically they just stand or sit or lay down in a small area, and they're fed. Food is brought to them, and then as they crap and stuff like that, that's carried away, okay, and the pig just stands there or again lays there or whatever, and that's their life until they're slaughtered. And the problem is that all of that waste and all of that obnoxious stuff that is generated in one of these locations, if there isn't sufficient regulation, then they're free to dump that wherever they want to dump it. Now, where I live in Hudson, Wisconsin, there's, it's kind of the valley of the St. Croix River here. And so this is kind of the St. Croix watershed. And if you do anything within some miles of the St. Croix River, all of whatever that is, if you dump chemicals, if you dump, toxic pig waste or whatever, if you dump that on the ground and don't take care of it properly, it, rain and whatnot, and it comes and it flows into the rivers. And so one of the reasons why the Environmental Protection Agency is so important to us is it's like a national federal umbrella of protection, because many of our local counties and cities and whatnot, they don't have the foresight to look at all of these potential problems with pollution and foresee them and regulate them properly. So what the problem is that here in the Trump administration, the Environmental Protection Agency has been basically cut way back, and in two ways. One is that they've removed a lot of the regulations on industry, and then secondly, they've unfunded a lot of the EPA itself. So the agency itself has grown a lot smaller. There's many fewer employees, and what that means is that industry is free to pollute a lot more than they used to. And that's great from the standpoint of those industries making more money for the small cadre of owners. They don't pay their employees anymore. They're just the ownership makes them more money. And so it's great for them, but it's really, really bad for the environment, again, because all of these localities, including like various counties around here, like I live in St. Croix County, and then there's Pierce County, neighboring Pierce County, and there's one other county, it's not Pope, I think it is, but anyway, all of these counties, this woman's like, we don't have the regulations, we don't have the statutes that would prevent a facility like a pig farm or some other significant industrial complex from coming in here and prevent them from spewing a bunch of toxic materials out onto the ground, and it would end up again flowing into the St. Croix River, which will destroy the river. It will destroy the environment. It will destroy the fish, make the river unsuitable for fish or wildlife or humans. Okay, so the St. Croix is a river that if you go down, like again, I live here in Hudson, if you go down to the Riverside Park and walk there, you'll see there's all kinds of boats and people swimming in the river and so on. And that's because over the course of time, the river has been maintained at a certain level of cleanliness where those kinds of activities are, pretty safe to do. But if we, allow a bunch of pig waste and whatnot run off from other, agricultural things or industrial waste, or allow those into the river, the water itself is going to become so polluted that it's going to be totally unsafe for humans to be in it, or for fish, waterfowl, wildlife in general. So the whole point behind the show, Pigs, is to point out that we need these pretty strong national and frankly global, if we could have them, regulations around the environment and what is and is not permissible, and how you protect the environment against the largesse, the inappropriate acts of capitalists who, will do whatever to make a buck, with total disregard to the environment. And this is one of the, again, local places, they can't be trusted because, maybe in a very small area that the local people might say, yeah, it's great. Let's bring in one of these pig farms. It's going to mean another dozen jobs in our county. And in that little window, you would say, well, that's great, because those people maybe don't live right next to the pig farm and don't understand that, the watershed and the environmental impact and the long haul, it's going to make it where their children and their children's children are not going to want to live around here. Okay? It's these kinds of things around the environment that it's this long-term vision that's required, and a large global vision that's required. And that's why the EPA, it's been a huge mistake to unfund it and to deregulate, take away a lot of the regulations that the EPA has had. It's a huge mistake, extremely short-sighted. And our example of pigs in our western part of Wisconsin is an exact example. For the Pro and Con Show, I'm Michael James Ott. Until the next show, bye for now.